Korean words because those words are always, I always hear those words as these certain words are like in print on the screen. So like it's how you pick up some language here and there. Um, yeah, but primarily for me, I think there's no, and even though there are professionals behind the dubbing of anime, you will always have some sort of loss in translation, whether it's in tone, whether it's in the exact words like the original like writer would have used, like so it's like and especially lost in emotions can get lost in translation too. That's why something, for example, anytime because I'm trying to learn some Korean right now, and like for me, even when I'm watching like Korean dramas, sometimes I can't tell what kind of tone someone's using. um and I feel like when people go to dub these things, sometimes that tone could be wrong or right. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to know. So I just feel like things in their original language, you just get more of the authentic vibe that people wanted. So I think that's why I will still say subs are just. That's why I will say dubs can't be just on the same level as subs. I think they can be almost just as good.
My take is pretty simple. I think that subs are usually better than dubs, mostly because a lot of times, my opinion, the dubs just aren't good. Like they don't feel organic, they don't feel natural, and I think it's not really the actor's fault necessarily, as more of the way that the dubs are done. If I watch dubs, it's because it's convenient. I can put them on while I'm driving. I can put them on while I'm doing dishes. I can put them on. Honestly, if I'm trying to watch like a 24 episode show in a week, I'm listening to that dub while I'm showering. I'm listening to that dub while I'm working. It's everywhere. So that's very convenient. But like, spoiler alert for a little later. Like, for example, I thought the Somali dub was not good. So, it is what it is. Like we watched shows recently where there were dubs that where I thought the dub was pretty good, and I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty much just as good as a sub. But there are times where I feel like I'm watching the dub, and as a native speaker of English, I say to myself, this doesn't sound quite natural. And as a person who can speak Japanese, but I'm not native, I'm not good enough to pick up like when the acting's not good. So I don't really notice that in Japanese, and so maybe that's that's kind of like maybe an unfair comparison because I'm kind of like saying, oh well, I don't really notice. Well, I'm unable to tell if the subs are bad or not. But given the option of both and given the time to casually watch both, I almost always watch the sub unless it's a very nostalgic dub for me. Like if it's Outlaw Star, if it's Cowboy Bebop, if it's Yu Yu Hakusho, if it's GTO, I watch it dubbed because I know those voices and I love the voices. Otherwise, it's sub.
Yeah, no, I can watch both equally. Like it depends on the series, and because there are a lot of voice actors, say you, that I really like and enjoy, and I like following them and looking at all their work because, especially like Mamoru Miyano, if Mamoru Miyano stars in something, I'm going to watch it Japanese because I greatly enjoy his voice and his the characters that he brings. But I mean, there are a lot of times where I watch the English too. But yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely see, and this is where I think a lot of people criticize dubs, is that there has been a little bit of a drop in quality because they're simul dubbing them, which is it's happening very quickly. I'm not saying any of those voice actors are bad at all. They're all talented, but they're on a very tight schedule. But those simul dubs are also good because you're providing people who have the inability to read or difficulty reading the chance to enjoy it alongside with you and not having to wait months to watch something. So yeah, I definitely understand the arguments on both sides. I dubs are necessary for sure, and I enjoy both of them. So I don't know.
Yeah, those are some solid points, Mandy. Good shit right there, dude.
There you go. So thank you all for submitting your anime arguments. If you have any hot takes you've got floating around in your noodle, go to our website, aapodcast.com, go to the mailbag section, and leave the anime arguments down there. But if you don't have an anime argument and have a mailbag question instead, well, we've got news for you, my friend. We're about to actually answer those for once.
Oh yeah.
All right, get to it.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag.
Oh my
Anime.
goodness.
Anime.
I'm not dancing.
Anime.
Mailbag. Bag.
I waved my arms around, but that could not have been called a dance.
If you
I
guys,
did it in a
if you,
minute.
oh yeah, I'm not gonna do the dance. If you guys have a mailbag to submit on the website, top of the website, there's a mailbag button. It's pretty easy. That's where you submit mailbags and everything else for the show. Enzo's Notice Me Corner. We have retro review requests, hentai mailbags, regular mailbags. We've got Shark Tank, everything. All the different types of fun topics we do that require listener input. That's where you submit everything. So head over there. And I'm kind of actually pondering moving the mailbags up in the show a little bit in the show notes to maybe like make sure we can get to them regularly, because I have noticed that since we have not been getting to mailbags, that you guys haven't really been writing them very much. So, and that's understandable. So we'll see how that goes. But we do encourage you to write in as frequently as you want to.
We will read them eventually.
And this first mailbag is by Kyton. So who, Mason?
I can get on it. And he writes, "Hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast for a little while now and listened to both the old and new podcasts. Today I want to ask if y'all are into esports. Cough, cough, Enzo Sports. Personally, one of my favorite teams is Static Element. It's a newer team who plays Call of Duty, Apex, Fortnite, and Rainbow Six. Thank you for the hard work y'all do and making my anime addiction worse." Enzo, do you want to lead us off with this?
Yeah, sure. I know I'm not the only one that likes esports on among the hosts, but I feel like I'm definitely one that follows it the closest for the ones I do watch. So I do dabble in Call of Duty and Fortnite just because of my favorite org at the moment being 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves is the first team that like well, no, that's not true. My first org that I liked was like CLG for in League of Legends, like 5 fucking years ago. But in terms of branding, 100 Thieves was founded last year, and it's a brand that vibes more with me. And they have a League team, a Call of Duty team. They have Fortnite players and all that stuff too. And I think they have gigs for Apex. I'm not sure. I forget. But yeah, no, I'm a huge esports person. For people that listen to the Hobby Addicts, I touch on esports every now and then whenever something big happens, and I go like my hosts like my co-host like to say like it's like the Enzo esports report. Sometimes I just go off and mention things that happen at the World Championships and everything. I mostly watch League of Legends and Overwatch. I also I just watch everything honestly. I like I am hyper into League though. League is like what I watch the most. I watch the North American region, the European region, Korea. I watch some of the LPL in China. And yeah, it's I think esports is getting supremely uh known now in the last 2 years or so and I think a lot of that is the League of Legends World Championship gaining such crazy viewership around the world, and now with Fortnite getting the youth of America really into pro gaming has been a huge spike in viewership for esports in general. I think because of COVID and because a lot of the major leagues not being able to be played, League of Legends got picked up by the ESPN, for example, for like the North American playouts and the European playouts and all that stuff. So yeah, Keaton, if you ever want to talk esports, just let me know, bro. I am in. I'm in, and I
You've got
know,
a friend.
yeah, and I know Mandy's gonna touch on this more, but I also really like fighting games too. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
Mandy,
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm into is the fighting games side. I've never been able to get into League. I think it's just because I sucked at it, and then I was spiteful ever since.
it'd be like that.
But it's funny because I also really suck at fighting games, and no, I like watching Evo a lot. And even though I
Word,
suck at them, man, fighting games are just so fun to watch.
the best, bro.
Yeah, no, the spectacle of them is fantastic. And half the time I don't know what the hell is going on, but it's so much fun to watch.
Storyline.
Yeah, like Street Fighter, for example. Darkstalkers is so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
And
I like watching Tekken and Street
yeah,
Fighter.
yeah, Tekken's fun. I love watching Smash too. There's so much, man. Sometimes Evo turns into like pro wrestling. It gets really ridiculous.
Like it is though. Like it kind of is. Yeah.
It is. It's so silly. They all have their own storylines. I like Hungry Box.
You like? Oh, you do like Hungry Box.
I
Yeah,
do.
you
I
said
think
that
he's
before.
fun.
Yeah.
Momochi, Tokido, Sonic Fox. Man, I love all of them. Like,
I
yeah,
love Sonic Fox.
I'm obviously not as huge into esports as Enzo is, but I do really enjoy watching Evo, and I would love to go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially like Evo gets a huge shout out for me too because I'm with Mandy. Like, I'm not like super. I don't follow like the fighting scene like day to day. But
Yeah.
whenever I go on Twitch and there's like a tournament for a fighting game, like I'll leave it on. Like I'll throw it on and just have it in the corner, even if I don't know about it. Even if it's one of those like 2D games that I don't really know super well, like the 2D anime games. Like I'll still like leave it on because the commentators are just so hype, bro.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I started playing Tekken a couple months ago, because I was so inspired by all of the storylines in Tekken. Also, a quick plug on YouTube. There's a channel called the Score Esports.
Hmm.
They do really good esport documentaries. And Mandy, if you haven't seen these documentaries, they cover like, for example, they have like two really good Tokido ones. So
Oh, awesome! I'll
yeah,
watch it.
after watching all the documentaries on that YouTube channel, like I have been so obsessed with fighting
Wait,
games.
I think I may have watched the Hungry Box one. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
they do one on HBox.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah,
I may have seen that then.
yeah, they do really good work.
Awesome.
Okay.
Oh, we good? All right.
Yep.
The next mailbag comes in from Japanese Sero, and they say, "Hi, AA Podcast. I have been a listener since a year back, and I love it. This podcast makes my cosplay making so much more fun. I have a question. I'm a leader for a Japanese exchange student organization, so I know quite a few Japanese people. Most of the students going abroad don't know anything about animes besides Studio Ghibli. Sometimes I want to show them the world of anime, but I never really know what to show them. I want suggestions, an anime or a film that a native non-anime watcher can like. I tried a silent voice and erased, and Tekken Top and Gurren Lagann. The last one was more like a joke. Nothing wrong with Gurren Lagann. Okay. Um, yeah. I hope you guys can help me. Best regards. So the listener is asking for anime to get people from here that are going to Japan that don't already like anime. Is that what
I
my
was
understanding is?
confused if it mean native people who
Yeah.
already live in Japan have just never got into anime. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
like
was
is
confused too.
that yeah, like I don't know if it's if it is it a native person from US going to Japan that doesn't like
Oh.
That's what
anime?
I assumed.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I
someone
assumed too.
from US going to Japan, not really aware of the culture, and it's like, hey, how do I kind of bring them up to speed or educate them on
Yeah.
anime in their transfer over?
Yeah, I
And it's
guess
like, go ahead, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, no, I guess like um I guess if they want to, then I would start off with like the ones like the ones that people always throw out. Like you know what's funny now? My brain went to Cowboy Bebop, but I don't think that's what you get people into anime with. I think you throw people like Full Metal Alchemist,
Hmm.
you throw people like Hunter x Hunter, you throw them like Naruto, and let them try those out and see what happens there.
I think you throw them whatever you think they'll like based on who they are, you know?
Hmm.
True.
But like,
True.
but I mean, first of all, as a person who's done the move to Japan thing, my experience is that most people, they're either fans of anime and that's why they went, or they don't give a damn. I mean, I don't want to like. I feel like in my experience, there's not that many people that went to Japan and they don't know what anime is. Like, you know, they've had opportunities. Anime is friggin' everywhere. Like, it's not like in the '80s where you had to go to like a Sam Goody and buy a VHS tape. Like, it's on Netflix, it's on Amazon, it's fucking everywhere. Like, you can't. There's no streaming service that doesn't have anime. And you know, if you have kids, their kids are watching it. I used to have kids in my old company I used to work with. They talk about their kids. These kids, they're all watching anime. So it's like if you're an adult and you have kids, your kids are watching it. You know what it is. I feel like personally, I would go for like I would if they're moving to Japan and I don't know about the culture, I might go for like slice of life shows that depict Japan in a real way. But honestly, I don't really feel like this is an exercise that really needs to be undertaken most of the time because it's something that they would have done on their own already. But whatevs.
Um, I want to say try shows that don't feel like anime, but even then, that can be tricky because it's going to depend on what type of media they like. Because I was going to suggest like Monster, Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Neither of them feel like anime at all, but they might also not like murder and they might not like politics. So it depends on the person. I know from experience in my guild in Warcraft. I have a lot. We have a lot of people in our guild who are very vocal about how much they hate anime, but these are
My God.
also game developers, and so they spend most of their time in games. So they will watch anime that are based on games. It's funny because a lot of anime fans usually shit on Sword Art Online because it has the tropes of anime. They're like, that is very anime. But to them, because I don't watch the rest of anime, they're like, oh yeah, no, I really like this one because it's based on video games. This is a a an interest that I have that I can relate to.
Hmm.
So yeah, it depends. If somebody has never watched anime, try to find something else that they like in media or some other kind of interest. And there's almost always an anime that relates to that, and there's something they might be able to connect to and might start that conversation. I don't know.
Just put on a Millennium Actress by Satoshi Kon. Everyone likes that movie.
Yeah.
No one doesn't
Yeah.
like that movie, and that's
Not
true.
polarizing at all.
But I was on the same kind of boat as Mitz. Is like, you know, you don't really need to know anything about anime to go to Japan. Anime is still very a subculture there. If anything, if you want to know about any anime to kind of enhance your Japan experience, just watch the Dragon Ball Z's and One Pieces, because those are the ones you're most likely to see on the side of a road, or like bundled with a McDonald's like promotion, and you're like, oh, I remember that. But like for the most part, it's very unessential to the Japanese experience. And if they know about Japan or thinking about traveling over there and haven't developed much of an interest in anime by now, it's probably by choice. So don't force it on them.
It's funny because chat said Isekai Boom explained. Yes, it's my guild. Because all of them, they're like, oh yeah, I really like Sword Art Online. I really like Shield Hero. I really like the slime one because these are like RPG worlds that they can relate to. But
Right.
the rest of anime, they don't care about whatsoever. So
They're like, we don't.
yeah, to them, Isekai is always new because it's the only thing they watch.
So
All right.
funny.
Next mailbag.
Next one is from Moral. Hi, I was wondering what anime surprised you guys with how good or bad it was in relation to your expectations.
Oh,
Um,
go ahead, Mandy. Go ahead. I know exactly what I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay. To me, I mean, it's very rare that I go in with grand expectations. It's funny because it's rare that I come out with very strong emotions, whether hate or love. It's very rare. So, gosh, I don't know. It was hard for me. I didn't even write anything down. I think the only one I could think of is maybe Hunter x Hunter, because the first couple episodes I was like, it's okay, and then towards the end I fell fucking obsessed with it. So I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
Beginning of
I have
Hunter x Hunter. Meh. Look at me now. 8
Look
figures
at me now.
deep.
I can do one of each. So an anime that I thought at first I was in on paper, and I'm gonna be talking about The Great Passage. The Great Passage is an anime that's on Amazon, and it got no love because it's on Amazon. And in general, when shows are on Amazon, unless they had like a crazy manga behind it, like the hype was never built around those anime because literally everyone didn't want to fucking have anime strike back then. And this anime is about a group of people that make a dictionary together. And usually, like, I always give slice of life benefit of the doubt because it is my favorite. It's my favorite like genre category of anime. So that's the only reason I hit play on that show. But my expectations was that I was gonna be bored out of my fucking mind because I thought it was gonna be like about I thought it was gonna be like quirky about like words and just like giving you like interesting words to like think about while you watch. But no, that anime is one of my 5 out of 5s. It's so fucking great. I love that anime so much. So that exceeded expectations by so much. I love that anime. And then one for like the one that I thought was gonna be really bad that I ended up liking way more than I ever thought I would is Domestic Girlfriend. Yeah, I fucking said it.
Both of those were shows you thought were going to be bad that were good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Enzo likes everything.
I confused myself. Okay, okay. One of them, yeah. I guess I'll give both those two because they both came to mind. But yeah, Domestic Girlfriend is a actual trash anime. Like it's just dumb. It's really dumb. Everyone knows it's dumb. And when the anime was out last year or 2 years ago, I forgot already. Everyone knew it was a piece of shit. But for some reason, I was there for the drama, and I don't care. I don't gotta say about that. It was a guilty
Drama,
pleasure. The quote unquote the
the
drama,
plot.
the plot. Yeah, that huge lore, that big thick lore was there for that. Anyway, that's my two.
Recently, Doctor Stone was a big surprise for me. I didn't know much about it, but I figured, run of the mill shonen show, and fucking love Doctor Stone. Can't wait for more. So I know it's coming fairly soon, so I'm excited about that. Shows that I think there's more shows where I've been disappointed, and I think it's because the anime community gets really revved up for certain shows, and there's like tons of hype for certain properties, like Erased, for example. Like Erased was like the greatest thing ever made. Like people were like literally just rolling around in the streets, like screaming, "Oh my god, Erased!" And then I watched it, and I was like, it's okay, but like whatever, you know. And that's kind of how I feel about. There have been other shows recently where I feel the same way. Like Promised Neverland, I didn't think it was nearly as good as all the hype. I also feel that way about My Hero Academia, but then there's other shows that I feel that had a ton of hype that I felt like achieved the hype, and like Vinland Saga was one of those. Vinland Saga had mad hype, but it was really good. So
For me, one person was mad hyping it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like everybody was talking a lot. See, I think it's because I jump into these shows late. Like I'm always watching them after they're done, and so everyone's like, "Oh, Vinland Saga, is so good." Doctor Stone, no one said shit about it, so I was surprised there because it was like I didn't expect much and got something great. And then Vinland Saga, I feel like people liked it, and then it actually ended up being good. So I was surprised by that as well. But
I feel like a lot of that hype for Erased came at the beginning, and then everyone kind of petered out on it. But you remember it most from that beginning hype, and you're like, that's what it's going to be. And when it failed to deliver, that makes sense.
And by the way, I just want to say that, and I'm not saying Erased, My Hero Academia, and Promised Neverland are bad shows or anything. I'm just saying that like they have so much hype that I expect like the expectations that they have built for themselves are impossible to achieve. And then I watch them, and they're like, they're 3.5, 4, maybe whatever. But but people will talk about them like they're the fucking best thing ever. So there's a lot of hype sometimes, and it's tough to live up It's tough to live up to that kind of an expectation. So
yeah, for me, a series that I have heard nothing but hype things about that I've tend to always poo-poo is the Konosuba series. Everyone seems to really enjoy those, and I strongly dislike them. But I actually just recently got around to watching the movie Legend of Crimson, and it really surprised me with how good it was. I don't know if just because it was one long episode of Konosuba instead of repeated the same joke over and over, but it really stuck, and I thought that movie was excellent. So that definitely surprised me with how good it was. As far as shows that I thought were going to be good that did not live up to them, Promare, the new Trigger movie, A Lull in the Sea, White Album 2, and actually the new Trigger show, Brand New Animal. All of those shows, I was hoping for at least competency, and those all fell far below any sort of standards I was expecting. So, big yikes.
Anything
we
else?
Lost Enzo.
Anything?
Okay.
Did everybody give their input on that? I want to keep us moving because we're moving real
Let's
slow.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Most dangerous anime addict rates. What changes do you expect to come to the anime world? Like last decade brought 3D animation from properties like Knights of Sidonia and Ajin. Do you expect or want to see? What do you expect or want to see out of this new decade? And my answer is, to be honest, I don't really expect a lot of changes. I think anime moves real slowly, and I think you're going to see more rotoscoping. I've seen a lot of rotoscoping lately. Like every time it's some very specific motion that they're trying to animate, like baseball pitching or running or something like that. More studios are going to rotoscope, and I think it looks. You can always tell because it looks too accurate. It looks a little weird. I think you're going to see a lot more anime coming out of China. So other than that, I don't think you're going to see much changing.
I wrote a novel and I didn't mean to. I just got really excited and just kept going.
All right.
But
Well,
I said I even put a GIF in there from an episode of the more recent Pokemon episodes, which Pokemon animation is getting really fucking good.
Yo, they're not playing games.
No,
For the
they're
budget,
not.
my friend.
But I said I would expect the line between 2D and 3D to start to completely dissipate because we still get 3D shows that are combining 3D and 2D where it still has that kind of uncanny feel to it because it's very obvious. But I would expect that to completely drastically change. And I think that is already happening with a lot of newer shows, long-running shows that are utilizing more CG in their background. No, I think that is for sure something to expect. I think also we are going to eventually hit a point where our technology is going to progress to where studios are going to have to rework how they do animation because uh, television resolutions are constantly increasing. And what we have today, we will reach a point where that looks outdated. Like, there's going to be a time where Demon Slayer looks like shit. I promise. But yeah, and studios are gonna have to keep that in mind. And I think one thing that I've seen people experimenting with more is vector animation because then you can upscale it to any size. That's a possibility. You also uses a ton of Flash animation. It'd be interesting if more people experimented with that, but I don't think they have because Flash is very hard to use. So there's that, and I think also I would like to see it, and I think it's something that we can expect to see is more companies trying to do interactive anime with VR because we had Ghost in the Shell had a VR experience and Spice and Wolf recently had a VR experience. So it'd be interesting to see where that can go to and if maybe interacting with the anime somehow being a part of it would be really cool.
I mean, you mentioned like upscaling. You got Netflix with Sol Levante starting 4K anime, so
Mm-hmm.
that's on the horizon. What I really want to see is because more and more shows are coming out on, things like Netflix or just kind of online broadcast methods. Shows are no longer going to be held to you need to have 12 episodes, 22 minutes, opening, ending. Like, I'm hoping that we get more fluidity, and I'm trying to remember what show it was, but I remember there was an OVA that just they took as much time as they needed to tell each story. Some episodes were 17 minutes, some were 37 minutes, some were like, only spend as much time as you need. And I think the ability to tell the story, not have to put in any filler or cut time for distance, will be a boon to the storytelling experience. So I want to see more of that.
What was that? I think it was on Amazon Prime. I can't remember.
I started looking through my list.
Genius Party had different lengths, but that's
That's
a collection.
yeah, true. Yeah,
I don't
I'm,
know.
I'm trying to remember. There was a specific one that like episode 1 was a different length than episode 2, which was different than episode 3. And I remember
I know what you're talking about. I
it
remember
was
it.
better served for it. So if you know, please yell at me and tell me why I'm stupid.
I feel like I watched it recently too. So the next one is from. Oh, sorry, Enzo. Did you go?
Oh, I don't. You guys literally said.
Oh, okay,
everything
good.
I said,
All right,
yeah.
all right, next one.
Next one is Obscurity 101. So this is a long one, so I'm going to try to blow it through it as fast as possible. So I've noticed that you use a 5-point scale when rating anime on your podcast. However, even so, you talked about 5 out of 5s and 10 out of 10s as if they're the same value. I do understand that in general, but I give 5 out of 5 to anything. I would give a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 to. The reason for this is that there are 10 possible scores on a standard 10-point scale. He gave examples.
I think he kind of messes up the math there. So
Yeah,
in
a
an
little
effort
bit.
of time, I'm just gonna say, do we have thoughts on the 5 out of 5 versus 10 out of 10? To me, they're
Okay, thanks for
completely
cutting me off, but
interchangeable.
thanks.
Sorry,
I think
if
it's
you want to go ahead.
the way that I read it in summary is that he's saying, well, we don't have a 0.5, so there's the 1 to 5 is a 9-point scale, and the 1 to 10 is a 10-point scale.
But we do
have a
give
0.5.
0.5s.
So yeah, we do have a 10-point scale.
Yeah. We do.
Personally, I am not the person to ask because I fucking hate scores.
Yeah,
I've said this
Mandy-
before.
Yeah.
I'm very vocal about it. I only do it because I have to. So that
Yeah.
extra point I never think about.
I think the 0.5
Yeah,
does exist, but we never really seem to use it.
We've used it twice, I believe. So
I think I've used
it is
before,
there.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Ask super lovers about it. So they're
Ah.
interchangeable. They're the same.
Well, then I guess the mailbag's kind of a moot point, isn't it? So
Yep.
should we move on?
Yeah. Sorry,
I think so.
Obscurity. We do use the 0.5, but just rarely, I think. Oh, next one comes from Mexican Canadian, and they say, sorry, my computer's being dumb. Okay. Greetings, A crew. I just watched on Netflix Ni no Kuni, and I saw Studio Ghibli all over it. Mixes the Spirited Away, Nausicaa, Princess Mononoke, and on pretty much all characters. Question for the crew: do you think people with less anime experience as ours would notice the similarities? Things are making my anime addiction worse. I think I'll OD anytime now. Yeah, let's not OD on anything in the world. Stay addicted at a comfortable level, but addicted nonetheless. To anime, to be clear. And I don't. So So it's funny. I also have seen the Nino Kuni movie on Netflix. I watched it with some people that are in my anime meetup that I host um, here in Brooklyn, and I also got the same traits. I got big Spirited Away vibes for sure. And I think like people, it depends on what you consider Studio Ghibli to be. Like, do you consider most casual anime viewers who have seen Studio Ghibli? If yes, then yeah, they probably can call out these similarities if they see them. But I think, and I don't really think that casual viewers have seen Ghibli in a way where they can recall characteristics of Ghibli movies. So I don't think like surface casual level anime fans that are watching Yokuni as a one-off are gonna be able to pick up like the semblances of Ghibli that are all over that thing. But it depends. It depends because some people view Ghibli as like surface level anime watching. But even if you watch Ghibli at a surface level, that doesn't mean that you watched it with an observant eye, so you can take notes away from it. So yeah, that's what I got for you.
I don't think the average viewer can do this. I think that it's too. You have to have seen too much stuff, and if you've seen enough, if you've listened to enough dubbing or subbing or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, I recognize that voice in a foreign language. Like, you've seen a shitload of anime, but if you've only seen a handful of stuff, you're not gonna notice. Unless you've seen a ton of Ghibli, you're not gonna be able to pick Ghibli out of a lineup. So there are people that can do it. I know a lot of our listeners are a little more hardcore than most, but I think that like the general viewer isn't gonna have a lot of success with it. That's
I
how I feel.
think I think a general viewer could see these and be like, "Oh, these look like the other ones I've seen." And either they've seen so little anime that they're just like, "Oh yeah, all anime looks the same," or they've seen enough to know, "Hey, this studio." They won't know, "Oh, this is a studio who made this and this." Well, they'll be like, "Oh," especially with newer Ghibli stuff, not so much with like Nashka or anything like that. But I mean, you look at Ponyo, you look at Mary, you look at Arietti, like you picture just a anime person crying. You can picture the Ghibli big tears, and I think that just iconic stuff like that, I think anyone will be able to pick up on it.
Word, word, word.
Just my 2 cents. Moving on.
Mandy, did you answer this
Oh,
one?
sorry.
Oh no, I'm good. You guys said everything
Okay.
that I could think of.
All right. Next one is from Max Mackin, I guess.
Mackin.
Hey, watching Asteroid in Love put these thoughts about the duality of cute girls doing cute stuff type shows back in my mind and can be summed up into these questions. Number one, why do most of them have the seinen label, and what does that say about the show's target audience? Number two, and related to that, are they good, bad, or both in terms of equality, representation, and feminism? For example, they are not as overly sexualized as female characters shown in action, but still still a little male gazy, and most always the obligatory beach bath episode. They pass the Bechdel test with flying colors and shows girls with interests other than shoes, clothes, boys, but all characters are variations on cute. What do you guys think?
Well, I think the simple answer is don't. I mean, the seinen tag doesn't really mean much. Is that the shows were published in seinen magazines, which is why they get the seinen tag on them. It's not even exclusive to these cute girls doing cute things shows. There are shows like Ancient Magus Bride, which is clearly aimed at younger women, but it gets the shonen tag because it's in a shonen magazine. There are a lot of things like that. For example, the cute boys doing cute things that show up in josei tags. But yeah, so I wouldn't pay. I think the simple answer for why these might appeal more to men is just because they present a more idolized version of what like men might like, and women might think are a little bit um, either unrealistic or just kind of silly. But and it goes both ways too. A lot of the cute boys doing cute things shows. They're idolized versions of what women or girls might think are cute and charming, but men might think that's not realistic at all. So I mean that's what it is. It does. I don't think it means that it's exclusively made for men because there are lots of women who enjoy K-On!, they enjoy Yudu Camp for sure. In terms of the representation on whether or not it stands up to like feminism, I mean, it depends because every show is different. I hate the term male gaze a lot because it excludes all of the other gender identities who find women attractive. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little fan service. I think where it gets too much is whether or not it's sexual assault humor, which is not funny, or if the character has anything else going for them than just I come on the screen and get naked. But yeah, no, I don't think that for me personally, and it's going to depend on everybody on whether or not you think what your preferences are. But I don't think there's anything wrong with them if that's the question that you're asking in terms of do they represent women well.
I think there are definitely shows that are like there are shows where I mean it's gonna be tough to find a show where absolutely no women enjoy it, or a show that where absolutely no men enjoy it. Like if I think of the girliest show I can think of, I'm like, okay, what's the girliest show I can think of? Precure or like Sailor Moon or something. But there's an awful lot. I know a lot of guys that like Sailor Moon, or like what's the manliest show I can think of? I don't know, like Shigurui or something violent. I'm sure there's girls that enjoy Shigurui too. My thought is that if they're ending up in a seinen magazine, then they were probably they're probably made with the intent of a certain audience in mind, and then they hit their audience, and then of course there's like spillover into other audiences that enjoy it. So, but I mean, like to me, I think it's kind of been established for a while that like the idol thing is, the idols are popular because they're cute and guys line up for 7 hours at a time outside of the now defunct AKB48 cafe. But
AKB48.
yeah, it's gone now. The Gundam cafe was so popular that it bought the AKB48 cafe and doubled their floor space. But yeah, I mean,
Mecca.
But like I don't know. I doubt there's a correlation between like a show that has cute girls and a show being like generally offensive or objectionable. So I doubt you're gonna find a correlation there. It's not like, oh, it's a seinen show with girls in it,
Yeah.
so it's objective. I think that probably they're probably created with men in mind, but there are still women that enjoy them. And yeah, I don't know. You're probably not gonna find a correlation there. Just like Mandy said, there are women that like K-On! K-On! might have been made for men. I'm not really sure actually, but
I was gonna say, you guys made good points. K-On! Or like Hidamari Sketch, I think both show up in the same seinen magazine, and both have a little bit more fan service esqueness to them that was stripped out when it came to the anime. So sometimes there's not always a one-to-one translation. Not to say K-On! Is full of fan service or anything, but there is a bit of a difference between them. But yeah, it's not made explicitly for anyone. Anyone can enjoy it, and it's all good stuff.
I have nothing else to contribute on this one.
Nope.
Yeah, you guys covered that well.
Cool. The next one is from Oh, sorry. Did you have something else?
I was just going to suggest we try to go a little quicker on the last three.
Oh. The next one is from HP Fusion. Hello, AAA host. Mason had mentioned some good anime shorts recently, and I feel like anime shorts aren't talked about enough. Could you recommend a short based on these categories? Slice of life, comedy, romance, and action. You can take one or each of those. Thanks.
Oh.
I said Love is Like a Cocktail is really cute. It's about a married woman, older woman, who loves alcoholic drinks, and her husband makes them for her. It's very cute. There's one called Cat Soup, which is on YouTube. That one is very funky, but it's a lot of fun to watch. You should check it out. There's a very, very tiny 2-minute one called Fumiko's Confession, which is funny and kind of cute, but it's only like 2 minutes. So it has some pretty interesting animation there as well. Honobo Log is a romance one, very adorable. And the funniest short of all, Please Take My Brother Away.
Yeah, I didn't really follow your genre suggestions, but I always suggest comedy, the OVA, Kigeki or whatever. It's freaking great. La Mason and Petit Cubes, we've talked about that a bunch of times. Oji-san no Lamp is really good. It's cool. I've mentioned that a bunch of times as well, but it's definitely unique and has like a historical flair to it. And of course, Makoto Shinkai's Voices of a Distant Star is definitely pretty cool, but it's not. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a romance.
I forgot what shorts I mentioned last time, so I'm just gonna say Kanamelo Kanamewo. It's like a 5-minute video on YouTube, and it's splendid. It's probably my favorite like gut punch in 5 minutes, and it's a pretty good one, and it's very wild, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I actually want to just point out Mason had another one written down here because to the children. I think that one covers pretty much all the genres you mentioned except for action, really.
It's
But
got some action.
oh yeah, so yeah, I think it covers all the bases you're kind of looking for with the shorts. Yeah, each episode is like 12 minutes, I think. Or was it 10 minutes, 13 minutes or so? And it's like
I think
only
it's like
13.
12, and it's split between like 3 subdivisions
Right.
of that or something.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so try that one out. The next mailbag comes from Yotaro Vegeta, and they say, would you like to play a game, AA? One day you're checking out your massive queue of anime, and you say, I wish there weren't all this genre, subgenre I had to catch up on. Little did you know, an evil genie was hovering behind you, and your wish has been granted. Now, one genre or subgenre has been lost to you forever, or at least until you summon your own genie. What genre from your actual queue have you erased forever? Um, what genre would I erase forever? Well, I don't care for. I currently don't care for like ecchi isekai, so that's what I would just delete
Do you have a
from.
lot of those on your queue?
I have a my queue. So I don't have a actual written out queue. I have a mental queue, and in my mental queue, I have very little isekai ecchi, and therefore I don't think I would lose much just like having those away.
For me, I have ADHD and a very short attention span, and it can be very it can be good, it can be bad depending on what I'm focusing on. But for me, I struggle with slice of life shows because they just go so slowly, and I just can't keep my focus really. So just because I literally struggle with those almost from like a medical standpoint, I'm gonna have to choose that. So
I don't have anything because I'm pretty open-minded. I'll watch anything. I'll give everything a shot. And if I don't like it, I'll drop it.
I'll give everything a shot too, but if I didn't have to look at my One Piece like on hold of 92 out of infinity episodes, that'd make me feel a lot better. So I'd like
wow,
to get rid of all shonen, please. Thank you very much.
I'm impressed.
Okay, all across the board, whole shonen.
I'm
Yeah, I
impressed you
don't mind
watched
it.
92 episodes of One Piece.
I tried. I
It's more
tried.
than most. That's a valiant effort, I would say. Last one here. Mitch B writes, "Hey guys, I was watching Black Butler and I dropped it after 5 episodes. What shows did you drop after a few episodes? And what shows do you regret dropping and not picking back up?" I don't really regret dropping shows. I don't really drop shows. Like it doesn't happen often because like if I'm watching anime, it's almost always for the podcast, and I almost 100% of the time finish whatever I'm watching. But before the podcast happened, I did drop shows. I dropped Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei and Lucky Star for the same reason. They're just way too hyper. Too much screaming, too much fast talking. Although I guess I did sort of drop Tower of God, but I have a strong feeling that this won't be the last we have seen of Tower of God. So, we'll find out next week.
Yeah, I drop a lot of shows after like 3. I'm pretty standard with the 3 episode test. Um, and then I'll probably immediately pick them back up if a friend or the community is just like, no, keep trying. And for example, that case that was the case with Haikyuu. I dropped Haikyuu after 3 episodes in the season in the first season. Because I don't think Haikyuu is a really good show before like episode 4 or 5. And then after that, it's one of my favorite anime ever. In recent times though, I remember having I wasn't on the podcast for the review, so I never finished Saranzanma, even though I think that was one that I forgot if I passed it or not, or if it was me
He
or
did.
not. I did, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember not finishing that show because I was like, I understand why people like this, but I can't do that. But that's my most recent vivid like I'm not finishing this show. Um, yeah, and once I drop something like that, and no one tells me to like go back to it, I don't really usually regret it at all.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I usually drop things. It's very rare that I drop them after episode 2 or 3. If they've kept me that long, I'm usually in for it. But yeah, I usually drop shows at 1 or 2. I can tell pretty quickly whether or not it's gonna be something I'm going to like. Um, yeah, if it's not for the podcast, especially, I quickly drop things, and I don't really regret them because I don't know it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Right.
it. I don't know if I regret it.
Right.
Ignorance is bliss.
There's too much good stuff out there to like waste time waiting for a show to really get good. So I also, after an episode or two, will drop it. And sometimes someone will be like, no, give it a second chance. Like Little Witch Academia, Tiger and Bunny, Origairu. Those are all shows that watched, dropped them. Someone's like, oh, they're really, really good. I tried them again, and I still didn't vibe with it. And it's just not for me. Sorry. But I don't regret dropping anything ever.
Yeah.
No regrets.
No regrets.
All right,
Not even
guys.
one.
All right. Well, we have an intro trivia question, and we want to get to Somali, so we're gonna head out to the news break now. But for the intro trivia question, we have a good one for you, of course. The voice actor for Golem in Somali, is that his name, Golem? Is a popular voice actor who also plays a Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Who is the voice actor, and what JoJo does he play? It's a great question. Well, we're going to be back with the answer to that, and then we'll do our 5-star review of iTunes, and then our review of Somali and the Forest Spirit. So stay tuned, and we'll see you after the news break in a few minutes. Bye-bye.
Dude.
Hey everybody, this is Mitsuki, and I'm bringing you your second round of anime news. Starting off with a strange one here. Looks like a mother and a 17-year-old son have filed a lawsuit against the Kagawa Prefecture in Japan, claiming that a new law restricting video game playing time for children is, quote, unconstitutional and also, quote, violates fundamental human rights. They're seeking about $14,300 in damages against the ordinance, which was attempting to combat video game addiction, and it started back on April 1st, enacted by a majority vote following discussions. It looks like this was the first time a local government in Japan has set guidelines restricting video game and smartphone usage, which seems hard to enforce and, yeah, a little weird. So we'll have to keep an eye on that news story as it develops and see what comes of that lawsuit. Next up, it looks like the PlayStation 4 console has reached 110.4 million sales worldwide as of the quarter ending March 31st, which brings it to now the fourth highest selling game console of all time, behind the PlayStation 2, the Nintendo DS, and the Game Boy. So it has now surpassed the PlayStation original by almost 10 million units. So pretty big success there for Sony, and I'm sure it'll probably pass up the Game Boy as well before it finishes its run. Next up, Mix is going on hiatus, the very popular manga that is about baseball by the creator of Cross Game is going on hiatus because Mitsuru Adachi says that it's been difficult to proceed with the manga due to restrictions caused by COVID. So the story follows two brothers who play baseball 26 years after the events of the original manga Touch. Mix began serialization in Gesan in 2012 and has 16 volumes. And rounding us out today, we have some sort of COVID-related news, but not really, as the producer of Studio Ghibli, Toshio Suzuki, told Entertainment Weekly that COVID has not affected Studio Ghibli, and I can only imagine it's because Hayao Miyazaki just probably doesn't give a damn. And it looks like the film How Do You Live now has 36 minutes created of the movie so far, which is a vast improvement since the last time we heard a report where only 10 minutes was finished. And Suzuki noted that the film is a big, fantastical story, and it will take more time because they are drawing everything by hand, as they should. But Miyazaki just continues to defy everybody and everything, including human health and things like that. This is Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now getting back to the podcast right now.
My friends are annoyed because they think I have forgotten their actual names. I just call them my senpais and kohais now.
I threw a tennis ball at my cat. I was so caught up in the moment and thought maybe I could capture her, and then we could go on adventures together.
I purchased a motorcycle just so I could pretend I was Onizuka.
I answered the phone with Moshi Moshi.
My poor cat.
I may actually have a problem.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
Hello, I'm Mandy from the Anime Addicts Anonymous. Do any of these symptoms sound familiar to you? Do you have 8,572 waifus? Do you struggle with having the theme song to Attack on Titan stuck in your head, even though Jaeger is the only word you know? Then you may be experiencing anime addiction. If you are experiencing anime addiction, then you should visit our website, aaapodcast.com. At Anime Addicts Anonymous, we have dedicated ourselves to making your anime addiction worse. Worse! Yes, worse. Because the real world just plain sucks. So many resources await you. For just $5 a month, you will have unlimited access to our Hobby Addicts episodes. You will also have access to our hentai episodes, where you can watch a hentai along with us and hear our commentary. Give our after party episodes a listen, where you can hear us struggle to talk about our boring lives outside of anime. That $5 will go to helping us spread anime addiction throughout the world. Yes, it is time for you to make your anime addiction worse.
この番組は JList.com の提供でお送りします。
You've heard of Confessions of a Popedom, but now comes the heartwarming tale of Kazuo.
I don't know any country songs, so I'm trying to like sing along to songs I don't know and getting drunk with some grandma.
From the best-selling authors of Her Moe Majesty and The Best Yuri Bartender in Florida comes Growing Up Kazuo.
First time I was in a shootout, 2 years old. South Bronx, going across the street in my baby stroller. My uncle was pushing me, and a shootout broke out in the middle of the street.
Be there through the formative years.
So I was 16, I think, and my family went on a cruise to the Bahamas. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea to give me and him, his name's Steve, our own room. These two young men, let's give them their own room. What trouble could they possibly get into? As we're walking onto the cruise ship for the first time, we're walking through the hallway. There's like a door that's ajar, and I open it and I look inside. It's like a janitorial closet, so there's like brooms and mops and whatnot. And there's also a big bottle of whiskey just sitting in this janitorial closet. And I'm like, okay, mental note, close the door. So later on that night, we pick up the bottle of whiskey, get completely trashed. We're basically drunk the entire cruise.
Will a child's dreams come true?
It wasn't even an option growing up. Like it was a dream that a young poor boy had, that I was like, one day I'm gonna go to Japan, and it was like,
Believe it. Gonna go to Japan?
and I was like, that's never gonna happen. That's not possible. Like at best, you will not end up in prison.
And tales of young love.
My first like real kiss. Like we've all had like when we were kids, you little peck, you know, you're playing spin the bottle or something like that. But my first real like sexual kiss, like makeout session. And we end up, her and I make our way to her bedroom. So this is about to get super explicit. She's got him on one side, me on the other. Then have you ever heard of an Eiffel Tower?
Growing Up Kazuo. Flying off bookshelves everywhere. Order yours now on Amazon or by visiting www.aaapodcast.com. Now, back to the show.
And we are back. So before we went on break, we had the question: the voice actor for Gollum in Somali and the Forest Spirit is a popular seiyuu who also plays a Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Who is the seiyuu and what JoJo does he play? The answer is Ono Daisuke, and he plays Jotaro Kujo in part 3.
All right, I like Joseph the best, but it's whatevs.
I like Josuke.
He's an old man, just like me. All right, 5-star review time.
for iTunes review.
If you would like to leave us an iTunes review, please go to iTunes at AAA Podcast or Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast and leave us a 5-star and we'll read it on the show for you. Please let us know how you are enjoying the show and also give us some feedback on ways that we can improve. So this one is from Ryborg009, and they say no other pod for niche anime nerds have I found such a unique and varied approach to performing an informative and engaging parasocial package. Constantly evolving, consistently released, and a perfect example of how a small crew of hardcore dedicated amateurs, in the most positive definition of the word, can easily outshine all of the professionals. Stay addicted, my dudes.
Wait,
Thank
My
you.
dude.
That's so sweet.
Is this
Actually.
Rye
Don't
from the
know.
Discord?
I don't know.
Possibly.
That last sentence just hit me with a lot of good feelings. A
Yeah.
perfect example of how a small crew of hardcore dedicated amateurs, in the most positive definition of the word, can easily outshine all of the quote unquote professionals. That's
Thanks,
so
my dude.
meaningful because there are like big companies that do anime podcasts too. Like Crunchyroll has their big time podcast also. So like that's thanks, man.
I think Anime News Network still does
And
theirs.
and
And I think
and does theirs too. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with him. I personally like all of the more indie anime podcasts out there.
yeah,
What?
thanks, dude.
Well, I mean, that's what podcasting was intended to be originally. It wasn't. Podcasting was like, oh, here's this small radio that someone does out of their basement. It was never meant originally to be, oh, here comes ESPN with a podcast. Like that's just like basically an extension of like their TV shows or radio. You know, podcasting was always like, here's all these people in their basement that have like, you know, that are making it happen with like subpar equipment and shit like that, you know. So anyway, moving on.
Alrighty, so now we have our review, which is Sabali and the Forest Spirit, which I passed on episode 509 from the winter season.
So
and
cute.
you can watch this on Crunchyroll and Verve. The studio is Satellite, who has done a ton of stuff, most notably Fairy Tail, Log Horizon. There's Housing Ultimate. We see them pop up every now and then. But the director is Kenji Yasuda, who has worked on the Hakata Tonkatsu Ramens, which aired last year, I think, and Arata Kanagatari, which I've never seen. At least I don't think I have. But yeah, so Somali and the Forest Spirit was something that I also did on a manga minute because it came recommended to me. I was like, I'll check it out. And after I read the first book, I was like, yeah, no, I really want to talk about this one because it was really cute. But it is set in a sort of fantasy or supernatural version of our world, a future. And the future or the world has a bit of a dark history that we uncover as it's like a mystery that we uncover as the story goes on. And we are introduced to Somali, who is a little girl dressed up as a minotaur. She has little horns on, little hood on. That's just so adorable. And we are introduced to her meeting this giant being known as a golem who protects the forest. And through events, he decides that he wants to try and reunite Somali with her family, or at least with her own kind, because in this world, humans are on the brink of extinction. We don't know at the beginning what happened or what caused humans to start to become extinct, where they are. So we uncover that as we go along, and that's pretty much it. Do we want to go into what our expectations were going in? Start with Enzo.
Yeah. So this is the first anime of the season where I took my hiatus from the podcast. So, and in terms of also hiatus, I also didn't really watch too much anime during this time off because my life was simultaneously fucking big trash while also relaxing because I needed to be that way in order to like be a real human for like 6 months. But when it now that I knew this was coming, because I didn't have like the podcast context, I didn't know anything about it. I have I had to go to like watching trailers and whatever little clips it can on Crunchy on YouTube just to get a feel for it. And from the little clips in the trailers I saw, I was expecting a really like easygoing kind of ride with a lot of good art. A lot of the art, I was like, wow, this is really pretty. So my expectations were pretty. They were even. Like not, I wasn't expecting a masterpiece, but I didn't think it was gonna be bad because I came away from the watching all those clips with good feelings.
Cool.
I didn't know I didn't know much about it other than what Mandy had said. Prior to it, I know she really liked it, and I think I knew it was gonna be cute. Like that was pretty much what I knew. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a cute anime, and obviously fantasy. Like when you hear forest spirit, you kind of, it kind of implies, fantasy to some extent. I feel like so. But yeah, I don't go into. I almost never go into these shows knowing anything about them.
Mason.
Yeah, I went in with no expectations. Watched it with the weekly watch party over in Discord. I mean, instantly fell in love with it at the beginning. Got some vibes of like Made in Abyss with like a darker tone, but starting the show proper, I had no idea what I was in for.
My expectations going in were basically the manga. I didn't have any expectations for the manga. Somebody said, this looks like something you might like. And I read it. I was like, yeah, you pretty much nailed that. I knew that it was a slice of life. I knew that the artwork was nice. I really enjoyed the character designs from what I had watched and looked up, screenshots of it, and the backgrounds were very gorgeous. And I didn't know exactly what else to expect because I could tell there was something a little darker going on in the background. But I honestly was expecting it to be more heartwarming the entire way through. Uh, but we'll go into whether or not we will recommend this spoiler free. And let's just go in the same direction, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, I if you're someone that has the will to sit through a show that it takes it does it does what it can with 12 episodes. I think the pacing is good for 12 episodes. It is on the slower end of things. If you're okay with like I mean, I will say something does happen in pretty much every episode, so it's not like you have many episodes at all, if any. If I'm not blurring them all together, not many episodes like happened without something going on that elevated your experience. So it's not like it's one of those really slow paced ones where like nothing fucking happens in an episode. I don't think. If you're okay with like a slower side pacing, you're gonna get a lot of beautiful fantasy. This world is vivid, so vivid. I loved seeing all the different kinds of species. I liked that the world had lore. I liked that I love the characters. Yeah, like I think I would recommend this to anyone that has the time to sit down through a slower paced thing, because it's a good escape from the real world for sure.
I guess I'd recommend it to certain people. I think if you, I think the genres are very clearly defined with this one, and if you have friends that are into slice of life or just very easygoing sort of material that's kind of cute and kind of gives you good feels, then yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely recommendable. I don't know if I'm not sure if I'd recommend it to I have a friend who pretty much only watches shonen shows, and all I ever hear about is how great My Hero is and all this. Like, that's probably not the audience, but like, choose your audience and recommend appropriately.
Yeah, I definitely recommend this show. I would say give the show the one episode test. If you're watching episode one and you're like, oh, it's a little too sappy, it's a little too saccharine, it's just not my speed, drop it. You're not missing a show that you would go on to like. But I think the show's it Enzo touched on it, the wide breadth of creatures, its exploration, themes of parenting, interacting with strangers, like trust, prejudice, like the impermanence of survival and death. Like, the show hit so many notes really well. I absolutely adored the show. I even got some like Shadow of the Colossus vibes at the end with this like kind of pretty horror, like just it just hit a bunch of notes, and I really jived with it. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as everybody else. I highly recommend it, except if you cannot get into slice of life, you won't like this one. It does move a little bit slower, and but if you generally like slice of life shows, I definitely think you should check it out. Just be aware that it does get pretty dark at times, because I went into it thinking it was always going to be wholesome, but there are some moments that were pretty dark that took me by surprise. But no, I absolutely loved it. I think the art is very attractive. It's very vibrant, like Enzo said. I like the character designs. I am a lore nerd, so I like that it threw us into a world that we don't know anything about the history of, but we're still kind of okay with it. We got enough, and then when they start filling in the back story, I was like, oh, this is delicious, because I love lore. And yeah, it has a very constant dangerous feel beneath the surface, even though it is a very cute story about a found family. Especially if you really love family and kids, you should probably also check this one out, because Somali is so adorable. But yeah, no, I highly recommend it, and I think we're ready for spoilers.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
Man, I don't even know where to start, because it's such I guess at the beginning, meeting Somali and Gollum.
Yeah, I mean, we can lay out the premise of the show, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I think the premise, and obviously step in if you wanted to add, if you guys want to add stuff, but the premise is rather simple.
Yeah.
We have a Gollum of the forest spirit, which is referred to as Otosan, which is dad by Somali, and the Gollum finds Somali in the forest, in chains, in shackles, and frees her. And we don't know at the beginning. We don't know how the relationship forms, but because we kind of get thrown into their journey, and the journey is that Gollum wants to find. Am I forgetting Gollum's name?
No, it's just
No,
Gollum.
it's
It's
actually
Gollum, right?
Gollum.
Okay, okay. As I said that, I was like, oh, that sounds awkward to say now that
You
I'm
can name,
talking
you can
about it.
name Ono Daisuke.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. But yeah, so Gollum chooses to help Somali find her parents, and they embark on this journey. And the stakes that are set up is that Golems have a finite amount of life, which is 1,000 years, and Gollum has a little over 1 year left at the beginning of this journey. So time is of the essence. And the other additional challenge is that humans are looked down upon in this world, as in they're sold for food, for slaves, whatever. Given the whole war that raged on between the monsters, which are referred to as grotesques, sometimes by humans, really. Um, there was a war between humans and monsters. Monsters won. Humans got thrown off to the wayside to be lesser than real living things, to the point of almost extinction. It seems, based on the way the show goes. And so Gollum is just like, okay, I'm gonna help this human girl on this journey, as disguised as a minotaur, and then so on and so forth. That's the premise of the show. Well, what we get though, if anyone wants to take it from here, is a really touching story of just like found family, like Mandy said.
Somali, from the beginning, the first episode, I was like, gosh, she is so adorable, because um she's so innocent. Like, seeing the world through her innocent eyes is so fascinating, because we know from the history and from taking little bits of conversation how dark this world is, that humans are on the brink of extinction. If they're caught, they're either eaten or taken as like slaves or pets. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then we also have to deal with the idea of like Gollum is going to eventually fall apart and leave Somali behind if he doesn't find somewhere to like for someone to adopt her, or at least to find her family. It's like, man, that is so such a dark undercurrent, but on the top
Oh yeah.
we see Somali's smile, like bright smiling face throughout the entire show, and she's so excited about everything, and she listens. Like, she's not a frustrating child. Like, she listens to Gollum, but she's still a child. And I think she's a realistic child, and that she's
Yeah.
like, cat, I'm gonna chase it. She's so cute. I
She
love her.
face plants constantly,
Yeah.
almost as much as she eats. But no, Somali is a gem. I think my favorite line is they walk like a couple hours, and then she like drinks water, and she's like, "Ah, back from the brink of death." Gollum's like, I think that's hyperbole, but okay. And the only thing better than Somali's like hilarious lines is Gollum, who I'm sure everyone has seen them, but have you guys seen those like alien comics, Strange Planet, the ones by like Nathan Pyle? It's got like the two aliens, and it's like holding cat, and it's like, will you pet this or touch this furry four-legged creature? Yes, I shall. Like, it's like a weird like alien speak. That's exactly how Gollum talks all the time, with like very matter of fact, to the point where it doesn't like gem at all with how Somali talks, but somehow they just get along perfectly, and it is so splendid watching those two together.
Yeah, I think as far as we know, that like golems are constructs that are created. They don't have emotions. They're kind of like robots that are designed to just protect the forest.
They
But
don't have emotions, they
he's
say
learning.
constantly. But then he's like, my right here, as he points to his heart region. Oh, it feels lighter. And he's like, my heart break, as his body literally breaks apart. And I'm like, I see what you did there. I see what you did there, show. Not very subtle.
I have no emotions, and although I continually prove the opposite over and over and over again.
Yeah. But so for shows like this, to me it always comes I think what makes or breaks it is how organic we're gonna feel the relationship between the two leads are, which I think this show did a really, really good job in. I think, like Mandy said, like Somali feels like the one of the most realistic kids I've seen in anime in a minute. Like she wasn't like annoying or bratty. She was a fucking kid. Like she was a kid and she did kid shit. And and Gollum, for being the like straight man and all of this, like he was, but even in that he was still like, you can feel like his words were chosen wisely. Like the writers did a really good job with because his dialogue is very straightforward, but have a lot of gravitas to them, which is cool. And then the second thing for shows like this is that I think has to matter more than usual is how real, how nice does the world work for these two. Like how like are the because in order to make a show like this interesting, you need to have characters that are interesting to help out the protagonist, right? And I think that's one thing that this show did really well. I pretty much loved every character that they ran into. I love the Oni family. Like the Onis
me
are
too.
I love
Yeah,
them. I love
Bashira
them.
is
Yeah,
attractive.
Yabashira. Yeah, Yabashira. I want to drink with Yabashira pretty fucking bad. And in that same vein, like while I love the Onis, the characters that you were made out to dislike eventually, I also like really dislike them because like they earned it. You know, they earned that shit. Um, and so I think like if I don't know if you guys want to touch upon characters that you liked, or if we should just talk about the story more. But because the story is so linear, I feel like we can go in order if you guys want to. But Manny, how do you want to tackle the rest of it?
I don't know. I guess we can just talk about the characters that stood out to us. Like you said, the Oni family, I loved them. Shizuno, I love that he knew that Somali was a human child throughout the entire thing, but wasn't going to raise a fuss over it. Like not going to out her as like food or anything, because they really fell in love with Gollum and Somali, and no, I like their friendship, and like especially when he's helping her find a present for Gollum, I was like, oh, it's so cute, and yeah, I like Abishur a lot. He's pretty.
I was glad that they showed that they knew that she was human all along, because I just kept thinking, there's no fucking way this weak ass costume is gonna convince these literal like cat and dog animals that this girl is not human. Like they're just gonna smell her and be like, "Oh, human." So I'm glad that they addressed that. Because like by episode, it was like at first it was like, "Oh, she's a minotaur," and I'm thinking, okay, well the hood never falls down, and even though she's a little kid, and then like by episode 7, like everybody knew she was human. So I was glad they did that.
Disguising her humanity becomes less of a like plot point as we move forward. And the show essentially just a bunch of 2-episode arcs of them meeting new characters who they might be dangerous. Actually, never mind. Everyone's nice. I like Kikala and Kokirira.
The restaurant owners are so nice.
Those were great. That was a great set of episode. I even like the Uzoi and Hitora episodes with like the corn ice cream. I think the only like set of episodes that I thought was weaker was the Witch Village episode. it seemed like the one to drag its feet the most and not present anything new. It kind of gave us the backstory of the inklings of why,
Yeah.
monsters don't really jive with humanity, but it was very kind of unnecessary to Somali's story. And I think if the show had ended at a place that I didn't enjoy, I would have been like, that should have been cut to get us to a better ending. But because I was kind of at the end happy with how it ended, I was like, okay, it was a fine episode, just not one of my favorites.
Oh, so interesting you say that, Mason, because I don't like the ending to this anime. Believe it or
Well, it's not the ending, right?
not. Right. Well, what do you mean by that?
The manga's still ongoing.
The manga is much
Oh,
longer.
okay,
so-
As of right
okay.
now, there's no announced plan, so there's a
Okay.
very reasonable chance that there is no more anime further. And I think Enzo's assumption that this is the
Yes.
end of the anime is a fair one.
Before
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get
so
before you
I'm
get to that,
assuming-
I just want to
what's
throw.
that?
I like the cat guy the best.
The cat in the beginning.
The guy with the cat ears, the dog cat guy with the eye patch.
Oh,
I thought he was a wolf.
Whatever,
yeah,
the
I
wolf
just call
guy,
him
whatever he
I
is.
call him Dog Man. Yeah, Dog Man. But yeah, so me who didn't look into like the manga or if it's ongoing or anything, like I took the end. And we'll talk. I don't want to say what the ending is yet, but I took the ending to be what it was, and I was a little bit unsatisfied with it. And I also thought to the witch arc to be like, I don't think we gained anything from the witch arc except for a nicely packaged lore drop. Like it was lore drop. Like Somali didn't really gain. Like I thought them going to the witch village was gonna be the point where they find a cure for Gollum or something, or with all the knowledge. Like yeah, maybe they don't know where the humans are, but they can help Gollum achieve like a couple more years or some shit like that. Like, but they walked away really with nothing but just context for why the world is the way the world is, and in a way that helps Somali grow up, which is cool. But like it like Mason said, like I found that episode in the moment I enjoyed it. When the ending of episode 12 happened, I felt back to be like, what the fuck, really? Like there's nothing, that's it? Like I'm not gonna get resolutions to like the two biggest things in the show. That's kind of whatever. And I also thought back to the witch arc. So I do think the witch arc is weakest, not because it wasn't cool or pretty or well done. It just served less than the other arcs did for the show, in like from how I see in terms of like character development and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, the witch arc, I can definitely see the argument that it's a bit lore dumpy, but I think I also just like lore dumps. I'm a weirdo like that.
You do be liking lore dumps.
I do like lore dumps. I like
Yeah.
learning all the backstory and the back history of civilizations and what's
do.
going on in the world. I do.
Oh, yeah.
But
Go ahead.
as far what was it the ending. I think it just didn't bother me as much because I already had the knowledge that the manga was still ongoing. I can definitely see that if you didn't know that, it would very abrupt because it's like, oh, now they get to stay together forever.
Yeah,
But-
should we mention should we just say what the ending is of the anime?
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically episode 12, like they have just escaped the biggest betrayal in the anime. And oh wait, should we just cover that first actually? Like
That
the whole
fucking
sequence.
axolotl thing. What are they called?
I
Axolotl.
don't know what the fuck
You
they're
nailed
called,
it.
but like
You nailed it.
but the auntie betrayal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so around episode 10 or 11, I forget where it happens. I think at episode 10 they get to this village and they stay at this like auntie's house. Like I forget if it's an inn. I forget how they
It
end.
started at episode 9.
Episode 9. Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
9 happened, but then we got the backstory in episode 10
Gotcha.
of like
right.
of
Yes.
how her
Of
name
why
came
it should be
about and
like that
everything.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they end up in this auntie's place, and auntie is like, yeah, I love you, ha ha ha. And then auntie all of a sudden goes into town, and she's like, I got a human up in my house, son. Like, come get the
There's good
girl."
eating, good
Yeah.
grub at my house.
She's like, I got that good. Come to the cookout real quick. And basically telling like the people in the village to start a hunt for a human, which we learned in episode 1 that human hunts were something that people loved doing. Like people like Grotesque loved hunting humans. It was like fun for them because they got to eat them and whatever. So they catch the hunt begins. They go to the house, and then this leads to a sequence of events leads to an underground tunnel. Where they almost get Somali, and then Gollum pops the fuck off, and Gollum like transforms into this crazy fucking shit.
Becomes a Swiss Army knife.
Because yeah, he got like fireballs. He got like big claw shit. His wings are dope.
Dude, they
love it.
are. I don't
No,
know how he
his-
flies, but it looks
Well,
cool.
he doesn't. He doesn't fly. Because I remember they're falling, and these like
Yeah.
bony wings come out. I'm like, those aren't gonna fly. And he doesn't fly. He just like
Grabs the
jams him
wall.
into like the rock cliff to like slow him down. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But I think the wings are really, really, really cool. Anyway, and I want to stop there. I thought the betrayal. I didn't. Did you guys see it coming?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
isn't it kind of unrealistic that in a world where humans have been eradicated because of whatever reason, that like all these animals that probably have intensely heightened sense of smell, no one notices that she's human and gets like all up in arms about it. Like,
Yeah.
I was surprised it hadn't
so-
happened already. Actually,
Yeah, so I thought it was a welcome fresher breath air that
Yeah.
we finally have someone that's on the other side of things that isn't just like okay with her being human, that she's just like, you know what, fuck this, y'all got a human up in my house, come through, come hunt her.
she's not going to be a very good
yeah.
meal though. I mean, let's be honest.
Probably not.
She got like
She's
three.
got that
She's
spleen.
got,
She's
got
got
like
that spleen.
the macros are terrible, man. Listen, that little girl, she's got like 40 fats. I mean, it's Atkins friendly, but I mean, there's not much meat on the bone. You know what I'm saying?
We are not macroing a young child on
She
this.
is the
Ew.
cinnamon roll.
I mean,
that's
that's-
all carbs.
okay,
That's all
okay.
carbs.
That's what the whole
Okay.
section of the show's about.
Okay.
They were
It's
gonna
not the
macro
first
her.
time she's
So
been
funny.
hunted / like attacked for being human. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Uzoi arc earlier with, the possibility to save someone with her blood is brought up very briefly.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
I,
yeah.
I was waiting for it to happen. I agree with Mitz that I was just waiting for it to pop off.
Exactly. So, does anyone want to mention anything more about this pop-off moment, or should I just push us to the ending?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is just another example of how the golem definitely, the fact that he has no emotions is the most inaccurate and poorly kept secret. Check this out. Golem has emotions. The worst kept secret ever. Like, if you had no emotions, you wouldn't even have given a shit that they were going to eat the little girl. So the fact that he goes ape shit is just proof that he has emotions. In fact, the fact that she went with him in the first place from day one is, so I don't know what he's talking about.
I think that the point of it is him like gaining emotions as we go.
I think he had him. I think he had him all along, but he's a big. He doesn't know it.
Yeah, I think to Mitz and Mandy's point, I think it was an uncovering of his emotions for sure. Maybe he probably never had a reason to dig deep into his emotional state, and then Somali became the reason why he started digging, and then I took the pop off as his emotions fully being on display permanently. Like, it's not like he went Super Saiyan in terms of emotional state, and therefore that happened, and then there's no going back. So I think that, yeah, it just makes it concrete that obviously he has fucking emotions from then on out.
Can I ask
Not
if
to us, for everyone else.
Was it? Am I just? I know I'm really jaded, but am I especially jaded, or did anybody else just totally let the fact that he has like a limited lifespan just roll right off of him? Because I've seen this a billion times.
I started watching Plastic Memories a couple days ago.
Yep.
Someone in the chat recommended, and this is very much the same. Oh, just this is impermanent. We see the clock. We see the countdown. We see this is when the sad moment of the anime will happen. Everybody prepare yourself because not everything lasts forever. And as soon as that, oh, I'm going to stay with this person forever. And they kept on bringing it up. I was like, we get it. We got it.
I mean, the first time I saw it was way back in like 1990, whatever, with Mahoromatic, Like even back then, she was like every episode they have to put like how many days left does she have, and you're just like waiting for the countdown to end, So I don't know.
Just turn on the waterworks, fam.
I thought maybe I was just like heinously jaded, but I was just like, okay, I am not going to be emotionally affected by this whatsoever because I've seen it too many times. But I am jaded.
True, but if he were to be lost sooner than he expected, I think that could have been a nice like jolt of, we know his time is upon us, but when it's any time less than that would still be time not with Somali, and that would be cause for sadness. So I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Go ahead.
I
Yeah.
think
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Go
think
ahead.
his timer is like shortened because of what he does at the end of the show, but like unlike in Mahoramatic or in Plastic Memories, where it's largely not a fantasy show, and you know things, it's where there's not an obvious reason to think that they could change the course of things. In this show, I'm like, okay, well, season 2, if they make one, like, I don't know if he's gonna die. For all I know, they'll find like some magic frog somewhere that'll be like, here, I have this like magic drink, and you drink it, and then you all your armor plating will grow back, and you'll live forever. Like, that. I mean, that could be the case. So, maybe not, but unlike in other shows, this one does seem a little less predictable because I mean, who the hell knows like what's gonna happen? But
Yeah. So to wrap up this part, we then proceed. They survive. The Oni family helps them. Then Somali, Gollum, and the Oni family move to a next village where there's a festival going on. And then we move to like the final sequence of the show, right? Where they're at the festival, and then there's fireworks. And then as there's fireworks, Yabashiro,
that sounds right.
Yabashiro,
Yabashira with an A.
Yabashira. There it is. Yabashira is holding Somali, and Golem is seeing this. And I think what we're led to believe there is Golem's like, okay, I think this is a fine enough place to leave Somali. I'm going to, because she seems happy with someone that's not me. She seems happy with the Oni family. I'm going to step away now. So he turns away. He goes into the forest. Somali notices, and she starts to panic and goes on to search for him. Finds him at a lake in the forest or a pond in the forest or whatever, and they have the last exchange of dialogue in the show. And so, how did you guys feel about the ending? I can give my opinion because I think you guys might have liked it. I did not.
Go ahead, Enzo. I'd love to hear
Okay,
your
okay,
opinion.
okay. Yeah. So I mean, I liked the dialogue exchange because I think it stayed true to each character. I think, you know, Somali being a child wasn't having it. She was selfishly being like, no, I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say. I want you to stay with me forever. Like I don't care. Like you're my dad. I love you. Blah 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 blah. Which is like what a child would say. Like a child's not gonna sit down and logically hear and form like logical arguments. A child like Somali. I mean, like sit down and have a really productive like conversation or whatever, or engage in like high intellectual discourse. She's just like, dude, shut the fuck up, like stay with me, like I love you. Like she's like, I don't give a shit what you have to say.
My dude, you made a
And
promise. Promises are
yeah,
promises.
exactly. She's like, bruh, like we pinky promise, my dude, like you can't just do this shit. um and Gollum is, and I think Gollum says what Gollum would say at this point in his emotional development. He's like, yo, like at first he's like, no, I really can't be with you anymore. I'm too dangerous. But then as Somali keeps going, he finally gives in and says, you know what? Okay. I did promise I'll be with you forever. The feelings in my heart ring true. Like this is what I want. I want to be with you forever. I want to take care of you forever. And then basically the show ends with him holding her up and them agreeing to be together forever. So the reason I didn't like this, someone who just watched the anime with no context about the manga or whatever, I thought this was the final moment of the show and that there was gonna be no more, and I was very dissatisfied because the two biggest threads of the show are Gollum's finite lifespan and finding Somali a family to be with, right? Those to me, those are the two threads that are throughout the whole show. It's what the premise is based on, and this ending gives no resolution to either one of those in a way. Like it's basically saying, yeah, we're ignoring the stakes we set up and we're wrapping it up here, calling it a day. Okay, bye bye. And I don't really like that. I was hoping the ending I wanted really was like either along the way we found a good cure that makes sense for Gollum in a way to make him an exception, and therefore that's we don't find her a family, but Gollum can stay alive forever, or we find her a family, and then Gollum makes her understand the reasons why he can't stay forever, and we have a really emotional goodbye. I was hoping for like an ending like that. I really did not like the there's no family, there's no like longevity for Gollum. We're just gonna like wrap it up here. But now that I mean, if there's more manga, it makes sense, I guess. But like, fuck, for as an anime, I'm just like, eh.
I also don't mind with I didn't mind the ending because I like the idea of found family. That the like because Golem's whole point of this was to take her back to her family, the one that she was born from, but and or like her own kind. But I do like the message that the family that you're born with doesn't have to be your family. If for whatever reason you lose them or um, lose touch with them, I mean, you can find family. It's the emotional bond that ties you together. I like that. And as far as Gollum not really getting like a, I guess a cure. I don't know. It's still like
Yeah,
there's.
quote unquote cure. Yeah.
I think there's still more to the story, but I also don't mind it because I don't know. Um, I don't think the possibility of death is why you should avoid uh creating bonds with people. I don't know. It didn't really hit me, probably because I knew that there was more to the story. So I don't know.
Even if there was no more to the story, I was pleased with the ending. Obviously, the big symbolic thing is that spoiler Gollum loses his left arm during the debacle, and then literally like the next night, Smalley is sleeping on the left arm of Yabashira, like in the tent. Like if that isn't like the metaphor of she has found someone who can fill that role of literally the left arm of her protector, like she has found her next family, and even though she might not ever find humans to be her family, she has found a path forward with this next group. So I feel like that somewhat enough answered that question. And I felt like Gollum's and Isnare, we see the post-credit sequence of them wearing like a different outfit, which at least implies that they will continue on for at least some time to continue living out their days. And whether that is still limited to less than a year, which is likely, that's still a year's worth of experiences and joy that they experience with one another. And I think when Mitt started the show, he made a comment like, "Does this show become anything more than just wandering around?" And it's like, well, that's like asking, does life become more than anything than just existing? Like,
yeah,
the end tentpoles of this series weren't something I needed answered to enjoy it. So the biggest question I'm left with is, what happened to that poor forest that was abandoned when the Gollum was selfish and left?
I thought about
that's
that.
All the precious animals and the Commodore Somali, the Viridian cats that are there. It was good. I wasn't disappointed. I can see why people were left like Enzo, like just give me what I came here for. You raised two questions, you didn't answer them. That makes me upset, but I was fine with it.
I definitely have questions. I have questions about that as well that raise other questions that are well beyond the scope of this anime's sort of themes, but yeah, moving on from that.
Go ahead.
I know we're running out of time, but we didn't mention at all Uzoi's backstory, which was, did anybody else think it was really fucked up that the guy who took her in was the one who ate her parents?
Yeah.
Did that not shock anybody else? I wasn't expecting that in my wholesome little daughter story.
Nope. Bro, when they were around the fire and Hightori was just like, yeah, like I can't accept being her family. I thought the next sentence was gonna be something like, because like she's too good for me or something.
I'm not immortal, like
yeah,
a
or something
heartbeat.
like that.
I don't know.
Not the fucking sentence because I ate her mother.
I ate her mother fucking parents.
I was like, what the fuck?
So that raised two big questions for me. One, like, why did he only get his eye feathered over? Why did his like two family members who were like not implicit in the crime, like why did they die? And the biggest problem is later on in episode 5, he aims a gun at like a animal that's like attacking the party, and he pulls it up to his right eye, which he can't see out of. That's a big mistake. That's probably why he missed his shot, because he's a loser. No, that was just like a small error that I was like, was that can't be right.
I did not even notice. That's really.
I didn't notice it either. I wasn't paying attention probably.
That's amazing.
Does anybody wonder why in an anime where that has like a billion different species of creatures and whatever, like why does, I don't want to like throw this conversation like way into a weird place, but why does Somali get special treatment to the point where like a whole forest gets abandoned to save a human that was alone for various circumstances, and there's just it's not like this isn't like the real world where we go, oh, a human is worth more than a squirrel or something. Like she's just another creature in this greater world. So why does he uproot? Why does he uproot everything to very artificially? Like to me, it's like, oh well, she's cute, so of course the audience loves her. But like to me, I'm like, no, he should have just left her there to die in the forest. Like that's literally how I feel. But like she's just another creature in that world. So
I think she just got lucky.
I think this what you said, Mitch, brings me to Gollum's monologue at the beginning of the show, where I think, and I might be wrong because this was a while ago that I watched episode 1, but I think his monologue is something along the lines of like, "I am a Gollum. Golems are created by the Forest. We have 1,000 years to live, or whatever, and we don't really serve any other purpose but to guard the forest." But for me, and that was my purpose until I found Somali. So I think um I think golems, like, they might be sworn to protect the forest or whatever, but I think I mean, I'm just interjecting here. I feel like he felt he was at the end of his time anyway. There was gonna be another golem to replace him soon enough, so he was just like, I'm gonna pursue this new purpose that what he didn't know was his heart was telling him to do. But like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like logistically, he just went off because fuck it, why not? I guess.
it's a good stab at an explanation.
Yeah. But
I have nothing else to add, by the way. If you guys want to
I was
score it,
gonna
I'm
say
fine with it.
maybe he knew he had a year left, and he's like, I can do something big for this child in a year. More,
Right.
Maybe he knew the forest was set up. It doesn't matter, but
right,
no,
exactly.
this anime raised a lot of questions like that. But in the end, I was able to shrug a lot of them off. So I think we can do
Some scores.
I will just say really quick, the OP of this was phenomenal. It had so many. It had so many movements. It was very theatrical.
Loved it.
Like it sold me on the show instantly. I think I said that earlier. But also the music in the show was sweeping. It was lovely. It was done by a guy who has not done much, but he did After the Rain. Before this. He was also splendid. So this guy's like 2 for 3 out of just like absolutely killing soundtracks.
After the Rain's music and just noise in general was so well done. I remember talking about audio production on After the Rain on the podcast. Good shit.
So this dude's killing it. Ryo Yoshimada.
But
yeah, we can score it. Lay us on us, Enzo.
Yeah, dude. I really enjoyed watching this anime. I watched it over 3 days. I watched like 4 episodes each day. And at the beginning, I was worried that I thought episode 1 started up really well. I was worried that I was gonna get bored throughout, but no, man. Me being a slice of life fan, the slower pace was like totally welcome for me. Life is really crazy right now, so I was really okay with being sent to a fantasy world. Super on board with like all of the like the world was so cool, vibrant, like there was so much life in every village they went to. Like every village, like it felt like each village, yeah, like of course that village exists. Of course they move that way. Of course they eat that food. Like it was all really cohesive art, which I really enjoy. As Mason mentioned, music was really well done for the show. In terms of audio product, like there was no fancy audio production in my opinion, but music wise, really well like orchestrated. If it's all original, I'm not sure, but like really well collected if not. um and yeah, and I just I seldom disliked any character. I thought every character that was brought in served a purpose, gave me a laugh or two, gave me like a reason to like be like, oh my god, or whatever, like. So I think this is a good example of an anime that didn't take each minute for granted in terms of telling its story. And fuck, Somali's is really cute, so I'm gonna give this anime, and I was shocked to do this, not gonna lie, but I'm gonna give this anime four
444 out of 5.
444 out of 5. I didn't think about this part. Okay, I'm gonna give it 4 potato mochis out of 5.
Potato mochis. Yeah, because cake is for old people. Was that the show?
Yeah, some shit like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Mitch, what do you got for us?
It's probably not that shocking that this anime didn't really interest me very much. I was it's just too slow for me. I mean, I've been through. This is the same tale I've told like 100 times. So she was cute. I appreciated how cute she was. The dub is not good. I would not watch the dub. The guy really struggled to voice a Golem, and the girl's voice, she sounded like a 20-year-old girl trying to sound like a 5-year-old, and it was not to my liking. I think I just need, like, the atmosphere is great. I didn't think the animation was all that good. There were about 1 billion still image montages in this. But it did look, like the backgrounds were great. Like it had vibrant colors, which I like. But yeah, like it just, there wasn't a lot of story, and I don't know. It wasn't really my pacing. So I think by episode like 4, I was pretty much, I had seen everything I thought I was gonna see by episode 4, and I was mostly right, other than the freak out at the end with the golem. So I don't know. It's like I recognize the quality of the anime. It just wasn't for me. So I guess I'm gonna give it like I'm gonna give it like a small uptick because I think it's a good show for most people. I'm just jaded, so I'm gonna give it 3. I don't fucking know. 3 golem skin arm pieces. That he gave to someone.
3
I don't
Minotaur
freaking know. Yeah,
That's good,
something.
that's good.
Nice. I really enjoyed the show. I don't know how much of that is just coming off of Babylon 2 weeks ago, that everything is coming up roses, but this show had a lot of strong points and it executed on them really decently. Yes, the animation is not phenomenal besides a couple transformation sequences. The witch episode was definitely a spot that, while not an inherently bad episode, was a little bit frustrating. I think if people go into this watching like 2 episodes a day, watching 2 episodes chunk just to hit those arcs well, I think there's a lot to like here. I absolutely understand if it's not someone's speed, but I think it missteps very frequently, and I know, I thought it was an easy, relaxing, compelling watch, and I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it 4 scoops of corn ice cream out of 5.
Corn ice cream? Ugh.
It's got sweetness. That's fine. You can drink the alcohol version when you cross the desert. By the way, when Uzoi and Hattori didn't partake in the corn, I was like, oh, that's death flags. You drink the corn to be protected in your travels. I thought they were done for, but I guess I'm not upset. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I like the themes of found family. I thought Somali is so adorable. I thought her relationship with Gollum, they played off each other very well, with Somali being this just very innocent child in a very dark world, and Gollum there is to keep her sane, but or keep her like under chat and like on check. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. I think the backgrounds were fantastic. The world was fascinating, and there were some great side characters. Yabishida is my boy. I would take my chances of getting eaten. It's cool.
He's right out of Hozuki, yeah, with the horns.
He looks just like Hozuki. Maybe that's why I fell in love. But
Oni clan.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot. I'll give it 4 pounds out of 5.
Oh my god, that come on was so funny.
Pound.
Come on. LOL. Well, is that it, guys?
So that's all she wrote.
Oh my god. Hold on, give me my computer is once again. All
And
right.
next week we are reviewing, let's see here, Smile Down the Runway.
Ooh, looking forward to that one personally.
I prefer Somali down the runway.
Oh shit.
Oh my god. Simile.
The listener score was also a 4 average for this one.
Oh, cool.
There you
We
go.
had a lot of comments, so those are on our show notes.
Yeah.
Check them out. Thank you so much for everybody who submitted them, because we got a ton of votes, far more than I thought we were going to.
Dope. But yeah, so this has been the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Thank you so much for everyone that tuned in live on Twitch. Again, we are live on Twitch every Sunday at 5 p.m. EST. Our podcast goes up like Wednesday, Thursdays on the feeds. I am Enzo. And I was so happy to be with you guys. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ENZOBADIA and Zobadia. Where can everyone find you guys? Mason, are you
I'm
places yet or
still
no?
not on Twitter. Just find me on my anime list or anime list at MAKLAX.
Mitz,
I'm at Pope Mitsugi on Twitter. That's pretty much the only place I ever go.
Mandy.
AAA_Mandy with an I. I'm gonna change it because it's awful, but yeah, please come on Twitter where I talk about ferrets.
Heck yeah. So again, we are the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Thank you so much for being here. We are so dedicated to making anime addiction worse, and I hope we did that today. So write it to us, talk to us, join the Discord, hang out. We love you guys, man. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.
See you guys.
Stay safe out there.
Peace out.
Bye.
Peace.